We're glad you're here, taking time out in the no-flop zone. I'm Boti Nagy, talking basketball with Joey Wright. We're loving doing the show, but we're just doing what we think might be interesting. There's topics out there that you might find interesting, so suggest them to us. Yeah. Drop them in the comments, and if we think there's merit, we'll definitely pick it up. We're going to start right off with the NBL's top six, how we think they're going to go. Top six. A couple of weeks ago, I recall you saying that Perth was going to go out and Adelaide was going to come in. Do you regret this ridiculous statement?
No, it's not ridiculous because it's all dependent on injury or that injuries at that particular time.
Sure.
So in that particular time, Tasmania was rolling.
Yep.
And they had a full team.
Yeah.
If Tasmania was rolling, had a full team, they're forcing somebody out of that six.
Couldn't agree more.
And right now, Phoenix is playing unbelievable basketball, and they're going to give themselves a chance to win this thing if they keep playing basketball the way they are. If you look at their team, you look at Phoenix team, it's very similar to what the Jack Jumpers were last year. And the fact that you got a point guard is dominating, running things pretty well right now. They have a power forward in Matt Hurt that's giving them the business like Jack McVay was last year.
Yep.
They got a dominant big man down low that's working with Jordy Hunter. They got things covered. They got an athletic wing defender that's out there defending the basketball. So I think they got a lot of things covered. Phoenix is looking really good. So I think they're in for sure.
Yeah. So would South East Melbourne be better if they had Mitch Creek playing right now? Or would the dynamic with him and Sobey not be great?
No, it'd be awesome. Him and Sobey are great friends. So I think if anything, they'd play better as a group with Mitch out there. But any team's going to be better with Mitch on them. So I think if Southeast had Mitch right now, we'd be looking at a whole different thing.
Derek Walton, though, him being injured, potentially out, how huge is that? Because they seem to have lifted. Angus Glover seems to enjoy it when he's slotted into the point guard role. Owen Foxwell lifts.
With Owen Foxwell and Glover playing basketball the way they are, and along with Sobey playing some of the best basketball I've seen him play in his career, period, they don't miss him as much. But he was playing some really great basketball. Yeah. It's like having two Ferraris in the driveway. One goes down, you got the other one. So they're playing some great basketball. Let's leave it at that. And you still got Ben Air bagging them up off the bench. So who would you have if everything was healthy? Who would you have had?
Oh, absolutely. I've had Tasmania in all year because.
Well, who's out though?
I would have had Adelaide out. So I would go Illawarra, South East Melbourne, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and then now Adelaide, because I think Tasmania, you just can't keep losing major pieces. And Magnay's probably not going to make it back. McDonald's probably not going to make it back. No?
No.
Okay, so. I mean, seriously, how much can you get out of a Drimmick and a Tarangi and Clint Steindl and these other guys? Like, they can't take you the 40 minutes. They can take you 30.
They can take you 30.
Yeah.
They can take you 30. They can get you close, but, you know, they're wore down. Their bodies run down. Like, last game they had 18, 20 turnovers. That's not Jack Jumpers basketball, but the people that are playing aren't typically on the court. Those turnovers aren't necessarily the same as they would be. But, yeah, I think in light now, I think Jack Jumpers out. I think Adelaide's in. But Adelaide is they got the best talent.
Oh, you keep saying that.
I'm telling you.
But it's so volatile because they could finish, they could win it or they could miss out. They could
win it. They could win it and not lose a game for the rest of the year, or they could miss out. That's the difference. We don't know. Crazy. We don't know who's going to show up, but when they show up, they show out. And I'm telling you, those four are, I think, the top four in their league, in their positions.
Okay.
So
I just want to get back to Tasmania because there was, in that New Zealand game, the most amazing first two quarters. They scored 8 points, Tasmania, in the first quarter, their lowest score of all time. They scored 37 in the second quarter, their highest of all time. Like, what do you think happened at quarter time?
Well, I definitely don't think anybody went to the bench and said, okay, let's do this and figured out how to score 37 points. I think they're led by a leader who ebbs and flows a lot. He's not always tied to the game, but I just think, their offense it's so pragmatic, meaning they got to score from certain spots. And if they don't score from them spots and you defend those spots, you shut them down. And they don't have a lot of free play.
Yep.
So a team with free play can counter that and say, okay, you're used to scoring like this. We're going to counter that with free play or ISOs or whatever it may be. They don't do a lot of that, so they have to wait till those systems work up or till the team falls asleep.
Yeah. Perth, what's your take?
Playing good basketball, looking really good right now. I'd love to see them in the finals or getting close to it.
Sorry, did you say you'd love to see them in the finals?
Yeah.
Or you'd love to see them get beaten heavily early in the finals?
I don't know why people think I got so. I don't have anything against Perth. Like I never,
roll the footage.
I've never had anything against anybody that. This is the crazy part. Every single team I ever played, whether they were first, last, whether they won the last 10 championships or never won a championship, I want to beat the shit out of them, no matter what.
Regardless.
Regardless. Like, I had nothing against anybody. I don't even understand coaches that get mad at other coaches for winning. Like, that's what his job's to do.
Yeah.
No.
If you agree with that, leave a comment. All right, let's talk Illawarra then, because Perth's travelling along okay, but Illawarra, I've seen them since the start of this league in 1979, and I think that's the most talented roster they've ever had. I mean, they won a championship in 2001, and that was a good team with Glenn Saville and Matt Campbell and Charles Thomas, Melvin Thomas. Now, that was a Damon Lowry, let's not forget him. That was a great team, and I'm not saying this is a better team until it wins a championship. If they win the championship, that is the best roster they've ever put together. Second five is as good as most teams.
I don't know. I think what you see is a brilliant coach that's gotten 100% out of guys that are sitting on the bench. We had the proof. Those same guys were sitting on the bench and didn't look like they were the best roster. So when that team was being coached by Jackman, did you think they were the best roster?
I did. No, I didn't think they were the best roster that Illawarra had, but I did think that the roster was far superior to what they were returning for Jackamas.
I agree with you as far as superior, but I think still, right now, what you're seeing is a brilliant coach that's getting more out of players. If those same players were on someone else's bench, I don't know if we get that.
I think Tyler Harvey is a great example of that, because I thought under Jackamas and also under Brian Gorgian, I didn't like him as a player because I thought, I just come down, jack it up, no conscience. Now he's a complete basketball player. I love it. Yeah.
Love him. He's out there defending, getting the ball to the right spot. He'll still take some wild shots, but he's deserving now taking those wild shots because he's getting 2 or 3 steals. He's making up for it on the other end of the quarter. He's getting some stops. Whereas before it was just, I'm going to come down and jack and you guys figure it out on the other end. But he's playing some great basketball. But I think, once again, that goes back to Tatum and what he's able to do. He's getting 100% out of those guys, 90% of the time.
When you were playing, did you play against any really good Illawarra lineups? Because in that period in the early 90s when you were there, I don't think they were that flash, were they?
No, they wasn't. When I came back as a coach, they were really good. Brendan had them running, and you had Darnell Mee there, and you had Campbell, Saville. They were really talented then. I think that group, I would feel on paper, is probably more talented. I don't think that group is. I think Tatum's doing a better job with his group. Yeah,
they had Adam Ballinger too. I think they made it all the way to the championship series with Sydney, and then Sydney wiped them out in 3 straight in the best of 5.
Yeah,
pretty dramatically too. But yeah, I don't know. I really like I like Trey Kell. I like the fact that 6 guys can score in double figures and 2 can get 9, and Trey Kell's not one of them. That to me is pretty good.
Well, you look at what he's done just with moving Davis to the bench. I think that was a brilliant move.
Days, yep.
All day. All day days. All day days.
And Mason Peatling has grown
as a player, and he's coming out playing with a little bit more confidence. And all he needs is to play with confidence consistently, and he's going to be a force in the league.
With Peatling, how much does he have to continue to play at that level now, with the potential of Darius Day's hamstring maybe will cost him a little bit of the season? So, I mean, Peatling has definitely raised the level of his game, but he has to keep it there, right?
Yeah, and he will. I think he's only going to get better. When you get a very conscientious player like that, he's someone who studies the game. He knows what's going around the league. Sometimes that paralysis of analysis initially hurts them. But once they get through that, they start to feel comfortable. That becomes their superpower. So I think, after a while, we're going to see him as a really intelligent basketball player, like a Wagstaff. A really intelligent basketball player that's going to knock shots down, do all the little things, and willing to play with anybody. So a guy like that, I think this playing time is just going to be a credit, help him out in the future.
Now, I want to ask you about injuries, because they've definitely ruined the season for a couple of clubs. They certainly did for Cairns in New Zealand, and now at this back end for Brisbane. And I'm like, what do you think it is? Is the strength and conditioning, are we paying enough attention to that at clubs? Is there a problem there, or is it?
Attention.
All right.
We're paying too much attention. So what's happened over the last 10 or 15 years is everyone's trying to get right to the peak performance. We're going to train these players just to this level, and we're going to have them rest at the right time and eat the right way and do all this. Well, when you try to train a player perfectly, what you do is condition the body, but you don't condition the mind. What great training is if this is the line you want to get to, you're going to be here. You're going to be up here, and you should average out at that line. When you're up here, you're messing with, you're affecting them mentally. You're getting them to adjust mentally into it, okay? When you come down here, body's resting, okay? But it's also a mental adjustment to that as well. But what you want to do is average out. We got all these high performance managers or whoever trying, oh no, they've been on the court 22 minutes, that's enough, get them off. Oh no, he needs to rest. If you can decide to rock up and put your shoes on that night, go help your team win or sit your butt in the stands and clap. This managing minutes crap, that's ridiculous.
Speaking of which, let's just segue straight to the NBA, even though we'll get to that a little bit later. Viewership NBA continues to drop. I said 48% the other week. I believe it's at 53% now. And I'm wondering if that's a factor, you know, managing players that I'm only going to play alternate games. And this situation, say, with Jimmy Butler, where he's trying to cry his way out of Miami and people looking at these sorts of things. And what's your take on it?
Well, I think in the NBA right now, the players are running the league. And I think
is that a case of the inmates running the asylum?
That's exactly, inmates running the asylum. And I think in that respect, the players are going to do what's beneficial for them, like any human would. But I don't think right now we got to get that under control. Someone's got to start managing and coaching these players. And most great players want to be coached. We got to start bringing that into the NBA, and someone's got to coach these guys, or it's going to get worse. And I think the fans are sitting at home going, "I don't want to see that mess."
What about your boys, the Lakers? I know you love me saying that, but like LeBron is a really polarizing figure in the game. Do you think the fact that he's still playing at 40, that people are sort of going, "Oh, I had enough of this"? Had enough of this?
No, I don't think he's had enough of LeBron. I think LeBron's playing at 40 because people had enough of what else is going on. Like LeBron shouldn't be able to play at his age the way he's playing. Physically, he's still capable, no question about that. But mentally, no one's challenged him enough to take him out of position and treat him like he's a 40-year-old. Everyone's still respecting him because the kids in the league are coming in so young. If LeBron was 40 and the average age of the NBA was 28, 29, then they'd be saying, "Hey, old dude, get out of here." But the average age, the kids are coming in now, they look up to LeBron. They're not going to play LeBron hard. They're not going to, take a swing at LeBron or knock him down. They're not going to do it. They respect him too much. They grew up idolizing him. LeBron poster was on their door.
Yeah.
So I just don't think the group that's coming in, they're not willing to challenge him enough. But I do think that the rest of the league has got to pick it up and start playing basketball the way it should be played.
Okay, let's swing straight back to the NBL because we were going to talk about our top six. So we agree that the top six, not necessarily in this order, but it will be Illawarra, Melbourne, Sydney, South East Melbourne, Perth, and Adelaide.
Yep.
Yeah, so okay.
Well, LA still could be higher than that, but we think
no,
those are the six. That might chop around. Yeah, that might chop around, but I definitely think they're in.
And what's your take now on Brisbane? Because did you watch the game between Brisbane and Illawarra?
They didn't watch it. Why should I watch it?
Well, I watched it. Now, look, I know you always come to the defence of coaches, and so you should. But I'm looking at the starting lineup for Brisbane. You got a bunch of players from your roster out. Surely you start your best five. You don't stick Tristan Devers, a DP, into your starting lineup when you've got Josh Adams, who started on a team that went to a grand final and is a very tough import. You got Isaac White, who lifted his game when James Bateman went out. You got them sitting on the bench and you throw in a DP. Are you just being too smart for the sake of it?
No, I think when coaches do that, they go, "Here's my excuse. Look who I had to start."
Thank you.
Look at my excuse. There it is right there. I'm starting a guy you guys don't even know who it is. Because Josh Adams coming off the bench is ridiculous. This is an opportunity to get Josh ready for next year or the rest of the year or whatever it is. Hey, Josh, go in there and get your feet wet. Go in there and jack that thing up and play. And Josh is going to play hard no matter what. He's going to play to win no matter what. So give him a shot. And that's, if it's anybody on that team that can win them a game, it's him.
Yeah.
If it's any one person with that roster, that current roster, with everyone out, it's him. He could go for 40. And so I don't know what that was about. But we're not there in practice.
No, I hear that. And for the benefit of people who want to say, well, Scott Roth introduced Nick Stoddart into his starting lineup in Tasmania when Sean McDonald went out, so I'm not being critical of that. Well, I'm not being critical of that because he wanted to keep his rotations the same. He still wanted to bring Jordan Crawford off the bench. I mean, that might now have to change with Majuk Deng gone. But I mean, that's a different scenario. I just thought with Brisbane, start your best five. You got Josh Adams sitting there, and he came on. He was the only guy that the Hawks couldn't really handle.
Yeah, that's a little different scenario in the fact that you got Doyle still out there. You still got some other guys that can really go on Tasmania team. So bringing in Nick Stoddart, who actually hit.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He went to work. Nick went to work.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick, Brisbane boy. But yeah, I think that's a little different.
Yeah, and Tristan Devers, we're not really having a crack at you. You didn't make the call.
Oh no, not at all. That's credit to him, whoever you are.
Let's just jump back to Tasmania because I feel a bit sympathetic for Ian Hummer, right? In the Sydney game, I think it scores about 81-75, and they inbound it, and he jacks up the crazy shot with 44 seconds left, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
Well, I've seen that footage again, and the shot clock is showing 4.4, not 44. 4.4, and I'm pretty sure, well, obviously, he thought he's just got to catch and shoot. And as the ball's inbounded, the shot clock goes back to 44. So by the time he's released it, you're looking at the shot clock going, what's he doing?
Yeah.
But I felt
that was my reaction. And I felt for the guy because he's one of those guys you can see, plays with his heart out there.
Yeah.
And I felt for him, and I was like, man, it's a brain fade, because we've seen that before.
Sure.
So, new to the league coming in and, maybe a bit frustrated. So that's what I was thinking. But if in that respect, 4.4 on the shot clock, when he shot it, that's...
And then game clock goes to 44 is what's left. Yeah, so he's looked up, and it's like, no. They had a lot more time than what
it seemed like too many... With Australian basketball becoming bigger and more visibility over the last couple of years, the professionalism in areas just hasn't grown with it. And we got to get those other areas and maybe push some money and marketing and whatever else in developing some of these other areas, because the basketball and the product is really, really good. It's really good. The Summer Shootout.
That's your coach's corner moment. Yeah, I'm curious about that because doesn't that lend itself to point shaving and open the door to some sort of gambling aspects? I mean, everyone in the media, NBL media, is raving on how good this is because everyone's trying to get big scores, etc. But I kind of wonder whether it doesn't just further open the door for a little bit of corruption, perhaps.
Well, I like just showing up and putting on a good game. Like that's what it's about. These little gimmicks they come up with. I'm not that big on. One of the things I have loved though is a game every night, or almost every night. That's been unbelievable. So over the summer, being able to come home and sit down and watch a game almost every night has been awesome.
Yeah, I think I said shot clock. I think it was game clock that was showing 4.4. It was game clock.
The game clock showed 4.4.
The clock in the corner there, and then that just jumped back to 44.
Yeah, I mean, in that reaction, but he should have known it wasn't 4.4 seconds left in the game.
And then it kind of, the last minute or two, it blew out with Quat Noy looking pretty good. Yeah. Now let's talk about Rick Longley. I'm sure you don't know who Rick is.
No.
He passed away this week.
No, Luke's father, but that's...
Yeah, he was father of Luke Longley and Griffin Longley, his other son. And a great player in his own right, in his own time period. Yeah, he was 6'9" at a time when 6'4" was a big centre, or 6'5" was a big centre, and he was this 6'9", 208 centimetres for the benefit of those viewers that are in this time zone. And terrific. They had an Australian championship in Adelaide at the Apollo Stadium in 1970, and that was when all the state teams used to come together with pre-NBL. And he led the scoring in that tournament for Western Australia, who were not very good. It was a South Australia-Victoria final, New South Wales third, and then the other states all battle for fourth spot. But he was just such a dominant figure. He went and played at least a season over in Victoria as well, and was a great player in his own right, who then, in 1982, when the Perth team first came into the NBL, because it started in 79, but they came in 82. As a 40-year-old, he came back and played and was still Okay, you know,
Wow, that's
so you can see that it's a pretty good bloodline for Luke.
yeah. Well, I didn't even know his dad played. I knew his brother was a pretty big fella, and obviously Luke is as well. So his dad sounded like he was, 6'9" for that generation was like 7 foot for Luke's generation.
And I'm testing my memory here, but I'm pretty sure he had red hair, so he kind of looked like that.
Luke had red hair, didn't he?
Wild Viking.
Not that matters, Luke.
We'll be back in just a second to talk some more NBA. Yep. We're back. A few of our guys in the NBA had DMPs this week, so we're only going to talk about the ones that didn't. Josh Giddey went very close to a triple-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists.
He's playing some good basketball in Chicago. That reset for him, I think, has been good.
Yep. And Dyson Daniels traveling along there comfortably, always picking up his share of steals, 3 steals again with 10 points. He must just play the lane so well.
I think he just must play defense.
Period.
When you're the only one out there playing D.
Stands out?
It stands out.
Okay, we've got an update on the 2 guys that have been out injured for a while. Dante Exum, he's got a wrist injury and it's not healing as well as what they hoped, so there's no timeline for his return. And Matisse Thybulle at the Portland Trailblazers, he's got a right ankle sprain, which will be reevaluated on Saturday. So he should be back.
Yeah, I was disappointed with Dante's being injured this year. I thought this was his breakout year.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be his year to come out, and injury bug got him again.
Yeah, like he laid a foundation.
He played some great basketball last year. Yeah, he had some great basketball.
Big round coming up, of course, as we head to the pointy end of the season. A couple of big ones, Sydney versus Adelaide, which is at Kudos Bank Arena, and South East Melbourne versus Tasmania. Both these games have implications for that Adelaide-Tasmania battle to sneak into the 6 or fall out of the 6. What do you reckon? Which should we pick as the game of the week? Because last 2 weeks we've picked the game of the week and we've actually got the winner as well.
Well, I think Sydney and Adelaide is the game to watch. I mean, right now with Tasmania being a bit depleted, if they do pull out a win, it'll be a great game to watch. But I'm betting Southeast is not going to drop the ball in that one. Yeah,
I probably agree. So that's a tough one, Sydney-Adelaide, because it's really a coin toss as to which Adelaide shows up, but also which Sydney shows up.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think if Adelaide shows up and Sydney shows up, Adelaide wins.
Right.
And I think that's with anybody in the league. I think they can beat anybody in the league if they show up, and they've proven that, obviously. But if they show up and play, I think they're the best team in the league. And after the first blowout win against Cairns, and the way they shot the ball, I think they're feeling pretty good about themselves. And whether we want to give Wells credit for it or not, that team seems to be galvanized and they're come together.
I've seen that before, though. Sometimes it's the team that galvanizes and the coaches over here.
Well, that's true. But, like I said, that is a some-ditch effort. Like it's coaches, and I've been in as a player and as a coach where sometimes you have to be the bad guy to get those guys to come together. Now, I don't know if that's done strategically, but that's what's looked happen because that's what looked like that's what it looks like has happened.
Let me walk you through it.
That's what looked like has happened because those guys are actually playing some really good basketball and finding each other in areas that they didn't find each other early in the season.
Okay, so you're going with Adelaide?
I'm gonna go with Adelaide in that one. I'm just, and I know the comments before, Joey says nothing good about Sydney. Give me some reason to say something good about Sydney, not just because where you're on the ladder, because how you play basketball. As a coach, I don't care where you're at on the ladder. It's more about how you're playing the game of basketball.
They're not pretty to watch. They're not fun to watch.
They're not fun to watch. It's a lot going on there. Cam still looks like he doesn't want to be involved. He says, gets on there pregame interview and says all the right stuff and does all the wrong things. So
teams that are fun to watch in my mind are Illawarra and South East Melbourne. Tasmania when they got the full group and they're tracking well. And then even Melbourne when they're getting it right. I don't know what's happened to Melbourne. They're just not getting it right.
When Melbourne gets it right, Adelaide gets it right, Illawarra gets it right, South East right now are very, very fun to watch. Sydney, I think just because, Jalen's not running that team the way it should, you just don't know. He can get out there and be brilliant, and that's still not enough for me as a coach. You got to help other people be brilliant, and that's what I don't see. I don't see him doing that at all.
Is that your criticism too of Kendrick Davis?
It was. It was definitely my criticism of Kendrick Davis, but I've seen a shift in the last couple games. And so if that kid is maturing and becoming a better human being, which is going to make him a better basketball player, then he won't be playing this league or any other league. He'll be back in playing in the major league. I have seen that adjustment, but yeah, that was huge. My huge criticism early. He was definitely, just because you finished with 8 assists doesn't tell me you ran the team. Didn't tell me you helped others play better. It's bringing them up when they're down, not just giving them the ball to lay it in.
Right. Okay. So we're going for Adelaide, the 36ers to win that one. It should be good on
the Southeast.
And Southeast should beat Tasmania, absolutely. That's it for this week. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe. We're at 500. We're nearly halfway where we need to be. So if you've been holding off subscribing, please do it, because it'll just make things easier for us. And leave your comments, any comments you like, below, and we'll get around
to respond to them.
Yeah, get around to answering